We welcome this morning the Executive Vice President of the Owtu, Ms. Reesa Ramlogan Jodha, joins us right now on the Zoom line. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, good morning to you, Jason.
Reesa, I want to get into the meat of the matter, the salary negotiations. I'm watching here via the notes. The trade union has signaled its intention to appeal a February 18th decision by the industrial court right across the road from where we are located here at Guardian Media to not give any salary increases to T&Tec workers for 2015 to 2017. Quite a landmark decision. Why you thought this decision went, well, at least not in the favor of the workers? I'm seeing that you all would have put forward the claim here of well, corruption and hiring practices that leave much to be desired. Is it that, or is it some more?
Actually, there's more to it, but I just want to take this opportunity to say good morning to Trinidad and Tobago, and a special good morning to my comrades at T&Tec. I have here with me this morning the president of the San Fernando branch, Owtu T&Tec, Comrade Kaya Bannister, who's joining me here this morning. So in response to your question, Jason, that judgment that came out of the industrial court, actually, I must say it was a very unfair judgment. And when one looks at the judgment, because it would have been out in the public, there are a number of questions that are raised after reviewing that particular judgment. And what is interesting is that while that was a judgment that was given to Owtu T&Tec, it was the same judgment that came out of the industrial court for the Estate Police Association, as well as the Senior Staff Association. And there are quite a number of questions that were raised, and the union would have realized, of course, that that judgment is not a judgment that could be accepted by the Owtu. And it was based on that. And it's not only about 000, there are a number of other factors in there that needs very close examination. And after close review by our legal, by our attorneys, a decision was taken to file an appeal with regards to this particular judgment, and that was done last Tuesday.
How soon would you get some sort of response concerning this appeal? I know court takes a little too long in Trinidad, but at what point do you think would be the earliest you might get some response as to whether this appeal will be heard?
Well, it definitely would not be heard anytime this year, but we are hoping that it is called before the Court of Appeal, before the close of this year. So that means that it can take us into probably next year before there is a hearing on this particular matter.
Does the fact that the CPO called for negotiations with the PSA, you think that will impact anything at all?
Most definitely. This is a judgment. This is a judgment that sets a precedent, and it's the reason why Owtu took the decision that was taken. In addition to that, there is the statement was made that negotiations, there are going to be discussions around the table, but one can only imagine the direction that those discussions are going to go in as a result of this judgment that was already given by the industrial court. It seems as though it was somewhat staged, because quite interestingly, all three judgments came out of the industrial court on the very same day. This is something that has never happened in the past. In addition to that, and I think that what would be used as the excuse would be the COVID-19 pandemic. We saw where this judgment was not delivered in person, but instead it was left there for parties to collect to find out, well, what came out of the matter that was before the court.
Well, I'm sure the union will be familiar with the pay structure at T&Tec. Coming out of that particular information, would you say T&Tec is top-heavy? Is it that the distribution of funds, it's really unfair compared to those who work on the field, on the ground, dealing with the customers compared to upper management?
Well, it's quite interesting that you would ask that question, actually, because that is the reality in T&Tec at this point in time. The commission claimed that they would have completed a manpower audit in 2017. This is a manpower audit that was done internally. And by the Commission's own admission, that manpower audit revealed a critical shortage, especially in the field. However, what we are seeing is that there seems to be no real attempt to fill these shortages that exist in the field. What is happening instead is that the Commission has gone the way of bringing on a parallel workforce, which would obviously be contractors, to supplement for the work that has to be done by the regular workforce. Now, this raises quite a red flag, because T&Tec has, over time, with the evolving of time, you would have seen a number of persons coming on to senior executive and executive management. And while this is taking place, there is a depletion of the workforce. Workers are leaving, be it by attrition, by retirement, whatever is the case. Some of them choose to leave on their own because they're realizing that the Commission is quickly spiraling downhill. And there's no real attempt by the Commission to fill these vacancies that exist. What we are seeing is, despite the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are being spent in training, there is a certain category of works that are being given out to contractors. This is despite the fact that our collective agreement speaks very clearly on the manner in which contract work is supposed to be awarded. And quite recently, we are seeing that there is a blatant abuse of the clause that deals with contract labor.
Let me ask you this, Reesa, because I'm watching what the president of the OW would have mentioned. It's more or less aligned to what you just said, and I really want to do a deep dive into this because I'm going back to the notes. Ansel Roger would have claimed, and this is a correlation to the blackout that we all experienced some weeks ago. He's saying that failure to fill these same vacancies you just mentioned, right? Failure to fill these vacancies would have contributed to the incident. He is suggesting here that the lines are now being cleared by unqualified contractors. I find it hard to sit here this morning and accept that T&Tec, a major entity within the state, would send forward people who are unqualified to deal with something as life and death as electricity. Is there any validity to this claim? Did you all do due diligence investigations to come up with this particular finding?
All right, so let me lend some clarity here. Now, first of all, the blackout which took place was on the 16th of February. And somehow members of the public were led to believe that that had something to do with the judgment that came out of the industrial court. But members of the public need to understand that the judgment that came out of the industrial court was 2 days after the blackout. So there is absolutely no relation with what would have transpired on the 16th with regards to the blackout and the judgment which came out of the industrial court, which was 000 to T&Tec workers. Having said that, I would also say that, there's an ongoing investigation at this present time by a cabinet-appointed committee that is looking into this situation of the blackout. But I must say that one must ask the question of what was the involvement of contractors prior to this blackout. And I say that because, to build on the point that was just made, in T&Tec, we have what we call line clearers. They would engage in vegetation management, or what we commonly call line clearing activities. And this is not simply to be removing shrubs and vines from poles and lines. It is way above and beyond that. It is critical to the extent where the Commission would have spent large sums of money to train our in-house guys to be able to do the work, to do the job in the manner which is supposed to be done. What we're seeing happening is that a large portion of this work is being given to contractors. The question must be asked, that feeder that was involved in the blackout on the 16th of February, was that feeder under the care of a contractor, or was it under the care of in-house personnel? And that is a very critical question, because if that question is answered, then we will have a clearer picture of what is taking place.
Well, Reesa, I want to ask this question really quick, and I'll let you finish your point. But the question still remains, these contractors, you can't just pull a man like myself in a blazer who have no experience. There must be some level of experience, some level of expertise. We're dealing with health and safety. We're dealing with electricity, if I'm not touch the wrong line, sandwiches.
That is correct, Jason. That is correct. And you speak about level of experience and also ability. Yeah? And what we see with the contractors is that they don't possess the ability because of the lack of proper training to do the job that they are required to do. That is one problem. The other problem is that contracts are not supposed to be given to contractors in excess of 6 months. What we're seeing happening is that contracts are being given in excess of 6 months, up to 18 months in some instances. If for those who live up on the North Coast Road, they will be able to testify about the number of outages that they experience in that area. You know why? The feeders and the North Coast Road is under the care of contractors. And because of the volume of work that these contractors have, and also because of their lack of proper training, what you find happening is that they're going out into the public and they're doing what we call a quick fix. So in the instance of the blackout, even though the tree fell by some act of God, it was not supposed to come in contact with the lines in which it came in contact with. And if those contractors, if it were contractors, had the experience and the necessary training, then they would have done what was required to ensure that this tree, if and when it falls, did not come in contact with the line. And that is the extent to which, these contracts, they are jeopardizing the service that is being given to the members of the public.
Reesa,
and the members of the public need to understand this.
Reesa, let me ask you, these contractors that you mentioned, are they doing the work, are they moving in marked T&Tec vehicles, or are they moving in I guess, the contractor unmarked vehicle? And more so, are they integrating with the T&Tec staff, or the contractors on one side and the T&Tec staff on one side?
All right, so they don't move in marked T&Tec vehicles. The commissioned vehicles are clearly marked. But what we find happening, especially of lately, is that these contractors are painting their vehicles the same color of T&Tec vehicles, so that when they go out into the public, they naturally blend in. Members of the public are not really aware. So when they see a yellow truck, all they know is that a yellow truck came. They really don't make that discretion between T&Tec and contractor. They don't. In addition to that, yes, to answer your question, you find that there are instances where T&Tec workers work alongside contractors. And let me make quick reference to this. To do line clearing, an outage is required. We are seeing where contractors are being given preferences for outages over T&Tec workers. You have cases where T&Tec workers go on site, awaiting an outage, only to find out after that the persons that have to conduct or ensure the outage are being sent to facilitate the contractors as opposed to the T&Tec workers. So what they're doing in essence is paying the T&Tec workers to go out and do a job that they are unable to do because the resources are being redirected to the contractors.
Wow, Reesa, were you telling me this morning? I'm lost for words, Reesa. If this is what's happening.
It is something that has festered into a sore that it needs critical attention.
Reesa,
and you know what? The sad thing about it, Jason, we would have reached out as the OWTU to the line minister because we realized that this thing is quickly spiraling out of control. And it is very unfortunate that today the line minister is yet to get back to the OWTU to set a meeting where parties can meet and have discussions on some real issues that are facing T&Tec.
Well, I've taken a note of some of the concerns here, and the line minister, he came on the program, I would say probably 2 weeks ago. We'll try to get onto him, raise these concerns on the show, and let's see if we get some answers. Again, I'll give you a chance to put forward your closing remarks. You have at least 30 seconds, Reesa. Go right ahead.
Sure. I just want to take this opportunity to officially thank the T&Tec comrades for their dedication and their commitment. Despite all of the challenges that are being faced at T&Tec, they continue to ensure a reliable supply of electricity to our country. And I would also take this opportunity to call on the Commission to sit with the union and ensure that discussions take place in light of the recent ease and restrictions to move the Commission forward in the direction in which it has to go.
Reesa, Ramlogan, Jodha, thank you this morning. Keep us posted.
Sure, will do. Thanks again, Jason.
You're most welcome. Interesting developments there. You heard it for yourself right here on The Morning Brew. We take a pause, we come back, social media details, something to think about, and the ever-popular birthday brew. Stick around.